Hey guys, how's it going? Wow, 30 years, the Black Album, hey? Yeah, the Black Album is definitely a huge album for me, so I kind of wanted to come on here and just talk about three of my favorite riffs from it. So like I said, the Black Album is a huge album for me. That's pretty much the reason why I'm sat here now doing what I'm doing. It was that album that completely sort of turned my perspective around of what guitar was and what it could be when I was just first having guitar lessons. And as soon as I heard that album, that was it. I was absolutely sold on Metallica, heavy music, and all things pointy guitars, right? So I just wanted to come on today, just chat about three of the riffs that I really like from that album, or three of my favorite riffs. I've discounted Sad But True because I've done a video, literally waffled on for about 30 minutes straight about that riff. And for anybody of you've been with my channel for a while now, you'll know that that is the riff, the first heavy metal riff that I heard that kind of turned everything around for me. So you'll probably watch that video maybe. If you haven't, I'll leave a thing at the top for you if you want to go and check that one out. It's literally just me chatting about how great that that main riff is, right? So that one right there is not allowed today because we all know that's like my favorite riff ever, or one of. And yeah, I thought I'd pick three others that I really like, and probably my three favorite riffs from the Black Album. Before I go any further with all this, I just want to say that me and Matt the Riff Masters podcast, the Loud and Proud podcast, that's up on Spotify and over on his YouTube channel now. You can get the video version of it, which is the short version, on his channel, and then the longer version of it, which is over on Spotify. So if you want to go and hear us chat about the Black Album, the 30 years thing, we chat a little bit about the Blacklist as well. That full thing is up on Spotify and over on his channel now. So go and check that out, because we talk quite in depth about the Black Album and how cool it is and what it means to us. So be sure to go and I'll check that one out. So the first riff that I've got, it's sort of a riff that gets forgotten about, I think. And it's certainly one that when I've been listening to the Black Album, because I don't listen to the Black Album all the time, and believe it or not, I don't listen to Metallica all the time either. But when I'm giving the Black Album a spin, and this riff comes along, I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot about this riff. And it's the post-solo riff in Through the Never. And like I said, you'll be listening to that song and you'll be like, enjoying the downpick riff and all that sort of thing, and then Kirk's mental solo. And then after that, it just sort of builds up with the drums, right? And it's that point you go, oh shit, there's a really big heavy riff coming. I seem to forget about, but it is one of my favorites on that album. So here's the riff. So there's that guy. That is such a cool riff. I think Matt the Riff Master described it on the podcast as like a marching riff, and he's absolutely spot on there. It's got like this marching thing kind of going on with it. It's one of those where it could be really boring if you didn't put the little nuances in it that make it sort of sludgy and heavy. If you were to just go... It just doesn't have the same effect. The notes are in there. You've got all that going on, the evil flat fives, right? All that sort of stuff. But it doesn't have the same effect, right? And I think it's just, I think it's a really good demonstration and an example of how Metallica really started to like improve on their groove on this album and implement that more into the songs. So yeah, it's one of those where if you don't put like the sort of, if you don't slide into your chords, yeah, and you don't put that hammer on in, the hammer and pull right there, it just doesn't have the same effect. Like I said, it would be so boring if it was just... Yeah, but how it actually is would be... Yeah, look how you sort of sliding in and out of that. It's really evil. And I think as well, that riff could have been its own song. And I'm kind of glad it isn't, because like I said, when it comes round and you have to listen to the full track to get to it, it's not like a Sad But True, where the intro comes and then here we go, that absolutely sledgehammer of a riff comes in, right? It's not like that. It's not in your face. It's not the main feature of that song. So when it comes round, it's an absolute treat, right? Because you kind of you have to earn it. You have to listen to the whole song, and then here it is, and it's like, oh my god, I forgot about this one. So there you go. There's my first riff. Massive Black Sabbath kind of vibe going on with that one, right? So there's my first riff. And if you fancy like a down picking challenge, where I think pretty much all the rhythm on that song is down picked and it's fast as well, yeah, get into Through the Never, man. That song is a down picking monster. So the next one I've got is another one which I think kind of gets overlooked, and I think the song kind of gets overlooked. It's the chorus riff from My Friend of Misery, because it's just so interesting. I don't think they've done anything like that at that point. It's like an F sharp riff, and you know, they'd obviously done F sharp riffs before, like that second fret position, right? But this one, just the way it moves and the sort of kind of got like a Jimi Hendrix Foxy Lady thing kind of going on with it. And yeah, I think whether it was direct homage to that, which if you're going to play that riff in F sharp and you're going to do that sort of chromatic run right there, I think that is blatant homage to Hendrix, but it makes for such a cool chorus. So I'll play the riff for you. Again, that's just really interesting to me. I don't know about you guys, but you know, like some riffs are like a battle to play, even though they sound good. That one kind of just like rolls off your fingers, and it's got such groove to it. Again, groove, groove, groove. I will keep mentioning groove when it comes around to this album. These songs are all groove based, and the amount of bands that followed that started to incorporate that into their style as well is absolutely huge, and it's certainly rubbed off on me. And that was the thing with Metallica. It was the first thing that I listened to heavy metal wise, and it was the groove that hooked me in. You know, I was overjoyed that Sad But True wasn't the only grooving song on that album. You know, you've got like The God That Failed, you know, that last riff over in Through the Never. It's all groove based, and it was that hooked me. So when I heard the fast stuff, going back into like Master Puppets, Justice for All, I really liked it, but I preferred the slow sort of nod your head, you know, just chugging on that low E string, right? Those slow grooving riffs, and this is just another example of that. So yeah, I think this riff as well, the way it moves, because I don't think they've done anything like this before at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that moved, the note choice there, I think it sort of foreshadowed what was going to come on Load and Reload, right? You know, bluesy riffs. Yeah, because I mean, Load and Reload, they're full of like these really bluesy riffs and stuff like that. And I think this was a foreshadowing, especially with that sort of blues scale kind of incorporation there, right? I think that was sort of a foreshadowing of what was to come on Load. And I love it when Metallica sort of foreshadow what's coming next. Like, for instance, I don't know, Minus Human. Guitars were dropped down into like a drop C sharp, right? And then the next album that came a little while after that was Saint Anger, and the guitars were all dropped down. A lot of that was in drop C. There was one song on there, Dirty Window, right, that was tuned to a drop C sharp. but it sort of like foreshadowed where they were going, and it was more sort of like grooving, low-tuned, sludging riffs and stuff like that, even though that album had its fast parts as well. But yeah, I like the way they do that, and I'm not sure if you guys have noticed it, but sometimes there'll be a song on one of their albums that sort of kind of gives an idea of where the next album's going to go. Case in point, Harvester of Sorrow. Yeah, that slow riff. That slow riff right there, that to me kind of hints at what was going to come next on the Black Album, which was following suit with more sort of simpler riffs like that, and a lot of single note riffs as well, which is really cool. Another thing I like about the My Friend of Misery one is I love the lead in. I think that's really interesting as well. You're just playing fifths right there. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think My Friend of Misery as well is just an interesting song as a whole. There's an unusual song structure, but you don't get lost in it. It's easy to follow. You know, like some of the progressive stuff, like on Justice and stuff. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not slagging it off here, but sometimes like you get into like Frayed Ends of Sanity and it just keeps going and going. You know, like for instance, pre-solo, they just keep climbing the keys. I can't play the riff from memory, but they just keep going up and up and up and up and up, and it's like, and then finally the solo comes. Well, actually, no, there's another riff after that, right? There's the it's like, and then another riff, and then finally the solo comes. You kind of get lost, and it's difficult to remember. I'm trying to remember off the bat the structure of that. My Friend of Misery is one of those songs where the parts are all interesting enough to hold your attention, which I think is really clever. And it's probably as progressive as it gets on that album, I suppose you could say. So yeah, that's a really interesting song for me, and there's my my second riff. So the last riff that I've got, and yeah, I really wanted it to be Sad But True, but like I said, I've done a whole video about that, and there's another riff that I like equally. And a lot of these riffs I've picked not just because of how they sound, but how they feel to play. And I'd encourage you to go and learn some of these if you want to kind of get the understanding of them. And they're quite simple to play; they're not difficult. Go and like play them, and you'll just because you might have heard Sandman and Sad But True and Unforgiven. You might have heard these songs to death, right? You might be sick of them. Yeah, I mean, we've all had that, like, for instance, you're at a party and somebody's like, oh, Jazz likes Metallica, and then it's like they put Sandman on, and I'm just like, ugh. It's like, they put Seek and Destroy on, and it's like, man, can we please put something else on? That band have done other songs, but as simple as these riffs are, and this is a great time to celebrate these riffs because it is the 30 years, it's a perfect time to just sort of like look back in at the album and learn some of these riffs and stuff. And you'll see it. If you go and learn some of them, they're so fun to play. And just there's just the way they roll off the fingers. Yeah, they're really fun to play, and they're really effective no matter how many times you've heard them. You can't deny that when you play it, it's a shed ton of fun. This next riff that I've got right here is it's The God That Failed under the solo. Okay, now The God That Failed is a strong contender for one of my favorite Metallica songs ever. Right next to maybe I'll save that for a video. Have I done a top 10 Metallica songs video? Maybe I've done a top 10 Metallica riffs, but I haven't done songs. So you have to wait on that one. So this riff right here. Oh, goddamn. I love the single note riffage in this song, though. And for me, I could pick any of these riffs, as a matter of fact, but the one that stands out is the one that's under the solo, right? And I'll tell you why. Because it harkens back to the main riff. But then it just hangs out on these big F off power chords. And that G to B progression, James is a huge fan of that. That's how all like that. That's how like songs like that became. He likes the B to the G. And I just love the way the G, bear with me on this because this is to my ears anyway. The G kind of sets up the B. Yeah? And that B just sounds absolutely massive, and it builds tension. And then back into the riff. So I'm going to play the riff now, and then maybe chat about it some more. Here we go. That beat is massive. Granted, I am doing the old scream aim fire trick here of putting the stacking the fifth in the bass there. I'm not sure if James did that on the album, but so my first finger's barred across onto the sixth string right there on second fret. So your B5 will be that, right? If you put your first finger across, you get that, which is a hell of a lot heavier, right? A cool way to spice up your power chords. Yeah, I'm doing that for a bigger effect. I'm not sure if that's actually on there because that's very sort of Dream Theater-esque, I guess. But James does do that every now and then. But anyways, so yeah, I just love the way it hangs on those power chords, and sometimes I had this with For Whom the Bell Tolls, hanging on those chords, just like with this one. That main sort of the verse riff, just hanging on those chords makes you feel so powerful. That's all I can say. You just feel so it's just really an empowering thing to play. And it's the same with that riff. I love it when a riff just hangs on chords and they just sort of make this wall of sound, and they sort of do the talking, and they're dark as well from the G to the B right there. So I'm gonna play the riff again because it's so damn cool, and I love these single notes here. I absolutely love that. So here's the riff again. Absolutely love that. And then obviously you've got the it could have been that riff today as well. That riff is equally as heavy. God damn, that's a heavy one. If I could just cover that song for the rest of my life every week, I get such a kick out of playing it. I really enjoy playing that song. So yeah, so if I could just play that song in front of people every single week, I would do that because it's just so fun to play. I was very, very lucky because when I saw them for the first time in Manchester in 2019, I think it was like the second song they played on the set list, which was absolutely crazy. Yeah, I think it was the third song. They opened with Hardwired, went into Memory Remains, and then as soon as the bass snare started coming, I was like, whoa, this could be either one of two songs with Lars's intro. Right? I was like, this is either Devil's Dance or The God That Failed. And I was like, I really hope it's The God That Failed. And it was. And yeah, to have seen them play that live, that's very special for me because that's a song they don't play too often. Any of these songs that I've picked today, as a matter of fact, if you get to see them play them, It's an absolute treat, right? Because they barely ever play them. So there you go, guys. There's my my top 3 Black Album riffs, if you like, sad but true, notwithstanding. Picking my other 3 favorite riffs from that album. There they are. So you got the post solo, Through the Never. You got the chorus riff to My Friend of Misery, and then you've got the under the solo section to The God That Failed. They're all just absolute slamming riffs, and they're very, very effective as well, and not too difficult to play either. So there you go. That's me today. That's my sort of ramble done. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you very, very much. Huge welcome to everybody who's new. Anybody who's new here from the podcast, thank you so much for coming on over and subscribing and hanging out. And just to reiterate once more, because I'm going to plug the hell out of this, the Loud and Proud podcast, me and Matt the Riff Master, we get together every single week and we just chat about music, guitars, riffs, that sort of thing. Go check out the video that's on his channel, but if you want the full thing, that's over on Spotify. And if we can get 50 listeners on there, I believe we had a conversation, if we can get 50 listeners and followers on there, we'll extend it to Apple Music. Okay, so if you guys want to head on over and give the podcast a follow, we would really, really appreciate that, because there's a lot of work that goes into it, and we really, really enjoy doing it. Okay, what else is there as far as plugs go? Oh yeah, my one-off lessons. If you fancy having a guitar lesson with me, just a one-off. If there's something you've seen me do on the channel that you think you might want to have a go of, or something you didn't quite catch in one of my lesson videos and want me to go back over it, hit me up on the email address below, or come find me on Instagram, drop me a message. It's all online via Zoom, and we'll do exactly what you want to do. And yeah, so if you're interested in that, just hit me up below. Come follow me on Instagram. That's where all my updates happen. And yeah, oh yeah, this. I forgot about this. Some of you may be wondering where this came from, and a lot of you know what that is. I will be doing a video very soon on that and showing you some of the tones that I've got from it, and yeah, just chat about it and talk about how scary it is and difficult for me to learn, right? So yeah, rest assured, stuff on the camper that's coming as well. So there we go, guys. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Listen to the podcast, come follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Cheers.